In the heart of Vancouver Island lies Blackwood Manor, an estate shrouded in mystery and whispered legends. Built in the late 1800s, it has stood as a silent witness to the passage of time, its walls echoing with tales of sorrow and despair. Locals speak of the manor in hushed tones, recounting stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena. Despite its ominous reputation, the manor remained uninhabited for decades, until a fateful winter when a family seeking solace from city life decided to make it their home. On February 13th, 2025, the Thompson family, Michael, his wife Sarah, and their teenage daughter Emily, arrived at Blackwood Manor. The day was chilly, with clouds casting a somber gray over the landscape. The manor, though aged, exuded a certain charm that captivated the family. They were eager to start anew, away from the hustle and bustle of Vancouver. As they settled in, Emily explored the expansive grounds. She stumbled upon an old, overgrown garden at the back of the manor. At its center stood a weathered stone statue of a woman, her expression forlorn, holding a broken sundial. An inscription at the base read, "Time reveals all wounds." A chill ran down Emily's spine, but she dismissed it as the cold. That night, as the family gathered for dinner, the wind howled outside, rattling the windows. The manor's age was evident in its creaking floors and flickering lights. After dinner, Michael lit a fire in the grand fireplace, and they settled into the living room. Sarah found an old journal on a dusty bookshelf. Its pages were yellowed, and the handwriting was elegant yet hurried.
February 13th, 1905. The whispers are growing louder. They speak of sorrow and loss. I fear the manor holds secrets that should remain buried.
Emily screamed as she felt a cold hand brush against her shoulder. Michael fumbled for a flashlight, and when he turned it on, they saw, for a fleeting moment, the shadowy figure of a woman standing at the doorway, her eyes hollow and mournful. Desperate for answers, Michael researched the manor's history. He discovered that in the early 1900s, the original owner, a man named Jonathan Blackwood, had lost his wife, Eliza, under mysterious circumstances. Rumors suggested she had gone mad, driven by the loss of their child, and had taken her own life in the very room that was now Emily's bedroom. Determined to protect his family, Michael reached out to the Vancouver Paranormal Society, a group dedicated to investigating and understanding unexplained phenomena. They agreed to conduct an investigation. On the night of February 20th, the team from the Vancouver Paranormal Society arrived, equipped with cameras, audio recorders, and other investigative tools. As they set up, the atmosphere grew heavy, and an unsettling silence enveloped the manor. During their investigation, they captured several anomalies: electronic voice phenomena, EVP, a woman's voice whispering, "Why did you leave me?" Thermal imaging, cold spots in the shape of a person near Emily's bed. Photographs, a translucent figure resembling a woman in a long dress standing by the garden. The lead investigator concluded that Eliza's spirit was trapped, reliving her sorrow and despair. They suggested a cleansing ritual to help her find peace. The following evening, the team performed the ritual, reciting prayers and burning sage throughout the manor. As they reached Emily's room, a piercing scream echoed, and the temperature plummeted. Emily convulsed, her eyes rolling back as she spoke in a voice not her own.
You cannot take her from me.
The team continued, urging the spirit to move on. After what felt like hours, Emily collapsed, and a sense of calm settled over the manor. In the months that followed, the Thompsons restored Blackwood Manor, turning it into a bed and breakfast. Guests occasionally reported odd occurrences, a fleeting shadow, a distant lullaby, but nothing malevolent. The family believed that Eliza had found peace but remained as a guardian of the manor. Blackwood Manor stands today as a testament to the mysteries that linger between this world and the next, a place where the past and present intertwine. As spring blossomed on Vancouver Island, the Thompsons' bed and breakfast at Blackwood Manor began attracting guests eager to experience its storied past. During his stay, Professor Whitmore uncovered records indicating that Blackwood Manor was built atop an ancient indigenous burial ground. This revelation added a new layer to the manor's already mysterious history. As tranquility seemed to settle over Blackwood Manor, the Thompsons believed the spirits had finally found peace. However, the calm was short-lived. One evening, as the guests gathered in the parlor, a chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing all the candles. The temperature plummeted, and an unsettling silence filled the air. Gap 3S. Flickering lights, shadows moving. Michael, sensing the familiar presence, decided to investigate the manor's attic, an area they had yet to explore. Armed with a lantern, he ascended the creaky staircase, step echoing ominously. As he reached the attic, the lantern flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. In the far corner, he noticed an old, dust-covered chest. Gap 5S, close-up of the chest, Michael opening it. Inside the chest were relics of the past, faded photographs, letters, and a peculiar-looking locket. As Michael examined the locket, a spectral figure materialized before him, a woman in a Victorian dress, her eyes filled with sorrow. She whispered, "Find her, save her." Gap 3S, ghostly figure fading away, Michael's shocked expression. Meanwhile, downstairs, Sarah and Professor Whitmore were poring over old maps of the manor. They discovered a hidden passageway marked on the map, leading from the basement to a secluded part of the grounds. Determined to uncover more secrets, they gathered the group and ventured into the basement. Gap 5S, group entering the basement. Gap 5S, group entering the basement. Finding the passageway. Navigating the narrow, damp passage, they emerged into a hidden garden, overgrown and forgotten. At its center stood an ancient stone well. Clara, the medium, felt a strong, restless energy emanating from the well. She urged the group to be cautious, sensing that something, or someone, was trapped within. Gap 3S, group cautiously approaching the well. As they peered into the well, a ghostly child's face appeared. Well, a ghostly child's face appeared, mouthing the same words the apparition had spoken to Michael. "Find her. Save her." The group realized that another spirit, perhaps tied to the indigenous burial ground or the manor's dark history, was reaching out for help. Gap 5S, Eerie Music Building, group looking determined. The next steps were clear. They had to uncover the identity of this new spirit and set her free. The haunting at Blackwood Manor was far from over, and the Thompsons, with their newfound allies, were determined to bring an end to the restless spirit's torment. Gap 3S, Blackwood Manor at night, full moon. As the moon cast an ethereal glow over Blackwood Manor, the group prepared for the challenges ahead, knowing that the past would not rest until all its secrets were laid bare. Gap 5S, closing shot of the manor, suspenseful music fading. The group knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with danger and mystery, but they were resolute in their mission. With each step, they felt the weight of the manor's history pressing upon them, urging them to uncover the truth. The spirits of Blackwood Manor had waited long enough, and the Thompsons were ready to bring peace to the restless souls. Gap 5S. Final shot of the manor, suspenseful music ending. As the group delved deeper into Blackwood Manor's history, they uncovered a series of diaries belonging to the manor's original owner, Lord William Blackwood. These diaries, hidden in a secret compartment behind a bookshelf, revealed the manor's sinister past. Gap 3S, close-up of old diaries flickering candlelight. Lord Blackwood was a man obsessed with the occult and the supernatural. He conducted numerous rituals and seances, attempting to contact the spirit world. His obsession grew after the tragic death of his wife, Lady Eliza Blackwood, who perished under mysterious circumstances. Gap 5S, shadowy figure of Lord Blackwood, eerie chanting. The diaries detailed how Lord Blackwood sought to bring his wife back from the dead, using forbidden rituals he learned from ancient texts. He delved deeper into dark magic, unaware of the malevolent forces he was unleashing within the manor. Gap 3S, flickering pages of an ancient book, ominous symbols. One entry described a particularly harrowing night when Lord Blackwood believed he had succeeded. The manor was filled with an otherworldly presence, and Lady Eliza's ghostly figure appeared before him. However, she was not the loving wife he remembered. Her spirit was twisted and tormented, a reflection of the dark forces that had ensnared her. Gap 5S, ghostly figure of Lady Eliza, mournful wailing. The hauntings at Blackwood Manor began shortly after this failed ritual. Servants reported seeing shadowy figures and hearing disembodied voices. Many fled, unable to bear the constant terror. Those who stayed were plagued by nightmares and inexplicable phenomena. Gap 3S, frightened servants running, distorted whispers. Professor Whitmore and Clara Hastings speculated that the manor's current hauntings were a result of Lord Blackwood's meddling with the supernatural. The spirits of those who died within the manor's walls, including Lady Eliza, were trapped, unable to find peace. Gap 3S, Professor Whitmore and Clara discussing concerned expressions, determined to set things right. The group decided to perform a cleansing ritual, hoping to release the tormented spirits and break the cycle of hauntings. They gathered in the Grand Hall, where Lord Blackwood had conducted his rituals, and began their own ceremony. Gap 5S, group in the Grand Hall. Candles and sacred herbs. As they chanted and invoked protective spirits, the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence. The room filled with a blinding light, and the spirits of Blackwood Manor appeared one by one, finally free from their earthly bonds. Lady Eliza's spirit, now serene and at peace, thanked the group before fading into the light. Gap 5S, spirits ascending. Lady Eliza smiling. The ritual completed, Blackwood Manor fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a sense of calm and tranquility. The group knew that the manor's dark past had finally been laid to rest, and the spirits could now find peace. Gap 3S, Blackwood Manor at dawn, birds chirping. With the hauntings resolved, the Thompsons decided to transform Blackwood Manor into a historical museum, dedicated to preserving its rich and complex history. Visitors from around the world came to learn about the manor's past and the spirits that once roamed its halls. Blackwood Manor, once a place of fear and sorrow, became a beacon of history and remembrance. Gap 8S, visitors at the museum, informative displays. As the group continued their investigation, Michael, Sarah, Professor Whitmore, and Clara Hastings decided to split up to cover more ground. Michael and Sarah took the east wing, while the professor and Clara ventured into the west. The manor's walls seemed to close in on them, the air thick with anticipation. Gap 3S, split screen of both pairs, dimly lit corridors. Michael and Sarah stumbled upon an old, locked door that appeared untouched for decades. Using an old key they found earlier, they managed to unlock it, revealing a hidden study filled with ancient books and mysterious artifacts. Gap 3S, close-up of unlocking door. Dust particles and light beam. Among the items was an old phonograph, and as they played the record, a chilling voice filled the room, narrating one of Lord Blackwood's final rituals. The voice described a dark entity he had summoned, one that now roamed the halls of Blackwood Manor. Gap 5S, eerie voiceover from phonograph, close-up of Michael and Sarah's anxious faces. Meanwhile, in the West Wing, Professor Whitmore and Clara discovered a hidden staircase leading to a forgotten basement chamber. As they descended, the temperature dropped, and their breath became visible in the cold air. The basement was lined with shelves of occult objects and ritualistic symbols. Gap 3S, descending staircase, cold breath. They found a large, ornate mirror, its surface covered in a thick layer of dust. As Clara wiped it clean, she gasped, seeing a shadowy figure lurking behind her reflection. Gap 5S, close-up of mirror, shadowy figure appearing. The haunting escalated as the group reconvened in the grand hall. Objects began to move on their own, and ghostly whispers echoed through the room. The air grew heavier, and the temperature plummeted further. Gap 3S, objects moving. Ghostly whispers. They needed to find a way to banish it once and for all. Clara, using her medium abilities, attempted to communicate with the entity. As she chanted, the room shook violently, and a dark, swirling mist began to form in the center. The entity revealed itself, a grotesque and malevolent presence that seemed to feed on fear and despair. Gap 5S, Clara chanted, dark mist forming. With quick thinking, Professor Whitmore recited an ancient banishment spell he found in one of Lord Blackwood's books. The entity howled in rage, its form distorting and flickering as the spell took effect. Gap 5S, entity howling, spell being recited. The room was filled with a blinding light, and the oppressive presence lifted. The entity was gone, banished from the manor. Exhausted but relieved, the group knew they had finally uncovered the truth and put an end to the hauntings. Gap 3S, blinding light, group sighing in relief. The manor, once a place of terror, was now free from its dark past, and the spirits within could finally rest. Gap 3S, Gap 3S, Gap 3S. Blackwood Manor at dawn, peaceful ambience histories. The Thompsons, grateful for the group's efforts, ensured that Blackwood Manor's history, both dark and enlightening, was preserved and shared with all who visited. The manor's transformation into a museum was complete, and it stood as a reminder of the importance of confronting and understanding the past. Gap 5S. Visitors at the museum. Informative displays. The Haunting of Blackwood Manor had come to an end, but its story would continue to captivate and educate those who walked its halls. As the sun rose over Blackwood Manor, the group left with a sense of accomplishment, knowing they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. Gap 5S, group leaving Manor, sun rising. As night fell once more upon Blackwood Manor, the group sensed a final showdown was imminent. The air was thick with anticipation, every creak and groan of the old house amplifying their unease. The air crackled with an unspoken tension, and shadows seemed to dance with an eerie life of their own. It was as if the manor itself was preparing for the confrontation. Determined to end the hauntings for good, Michael, Sarah, Professor Whitmore, and Clara gathered in the grand hall, the very heart of the manor's dark energy. Gap 3S, flickering candlelight, suspenseful music. The room was dimly lit, the flickering candlelight casting long, ominous shadows on the walls. Clara, channeling her medium abilities, warned the group that the entity they had banished was not the only malevolent force within the manor. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her fear. There was something far older and more powerful lurking in the deepest shadows. It was an ancient evil, one that had been awakened by their presence. As she spoke, the temperature plummeted and a sinister whisper echoed through the hall, as though the manor itself was alive and aware of their intentions. Gap 3S. Cold breath, eerie whispers. The cold was biting, seeping into their bones and chilling their resolve. Professor Whitmore, clutching an ancient tome, guided the group through a series of protective rituals. His voice was calm and authoritative, a beacon of hope in the oppressive darkness. They formed a circle, each holding a piece of the manor's history, a book, an artifact, a piece of clothing. These items were more than just relics. They were keys to unlocking the manor's secrets. The items seemed to resonate with energy, vibrating in their hands as the professor chanted incantations in a forgotten language. Gap 5S. Chanting, close-up of artifacts. The air hummed with power, the ancient words weaving a protective barrier around them. Suddenly, the room was engulfed in darkness, and a chilling wind swept through, extinguishing their candles. The darkness was absolute, a void that seemed to swallow all light and hope. In the pitch black, the group heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, and getting closer. Each step echoed ominously, a harbinger of the terror that was to come. Clara's voice trembled as she described a towering figure with glowing eyes, a manifestation of the manor's darkest secrets. Gap 3S, footsteps, glowing eyes. The figure was a nightmare made flesh, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. The entity appeared before them, a grotesque amalgamation of fear and despair, its form constantly shifting and writhing. It was a living embodiment of the manor's curse history. It lashed out, causing the walls to tremble and objects to fly across the room. The chaos was overwhelming, a physical manifestation of the entity's rage. Michael, Sarah, and the professor held their ground, reciting the banishment spell with unwavering resolve. Gap 5S. Entity appearance, chaos in the room. Their voices were strong, a united front against the darkness. Clara, drawing upon her deepest reserves of strength, began a counter-chant to weaken the entity. Her voice was a weapon, cutting through the chaos and striking at the heart of the malevolent force. Her voice grew louder, drowning out the chaos around them. The power of her chant was palpable, a force of will that pushed back against the entity's fury. The entity roared in fury, its form flickering and distorting as the combined power of the group's incantations took hold. Gap 5S, Clara chanting. Entity weakening. It was a battle of wills, a struggle for dominance that played out in the very air around them. A blinding light erupted from the center of the circle, enveloping the entity and the group. The light was pure and cleansing, a beacon of hope in the darkness. The oppressive presence lifted, and the manor fell silent. The silence was profound, a stark contrast to the chaos that had just unfolded. The entity was gone, banished into the void from whence it came. Exhausted but triumphant, the group knew they had faced and conquered the manor's darkest force. Gap 3S, blinding light, group sighing in relief. They had not only survived, but had emerged victorious. The Grand Hall, once a place of terror, now felt peaceful. The air was clear, the oppressive weight of the curse lifted. The group had not only uncovered the truth, but had also cleansed Blackwood Manor of its ancient curse. They had rewritten the manor's history, turning a place of fear into one of hope. They left the manor at dawn, the first rays of sunlight promising a new beginning for the storied estate. Gap 3S, Blackwood Manor at dawn. Peaceful ambiance. The light of a new day symbolized the end of their ordeal and the start of a new chapter. Their journey was over, but the legacy of Blackwood Manor would live on, a testament to the bravery and determination of those who dared to confront its haunted past. Gap 3S, visitors at the museum, informative displays. The manor's story would be told for generations, a reminder of the power of courage and unity. As the dust settled on their harrowing journey, the group felt a mixture of relief and melancholy. They had faced unimaginable horrors and emerged stronger, yet the weight of their experiences lingered. Blackwood Manor, with its shadowy corridors and hidden secrets, had become a part of their lives in ways they could never have imagined. The manor's dark history had intertwined with their own, leaving an indelible mark. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious. But the manor's story was far from over. The echoes of the past still whispered through the halls, a reminder of the lives that had been touched by its haunting presence. Gap 3S, Blackwood Manor, dusk, gentle wind, Michael, Sarah. Professor Whitmore and Clara gathered one last time in the Grand Hall. The room, once filled with an oppressive atmosphere, now felt calm, almost serene. The once oppressive atmosphere now felt calm, almost serene. The transformation was palpable, a testament to their courage and determination. Clara, still attuned to the spiritual realm, sensed the lingering presence of those who had been wronged. She could feel their gratitude, their relief at finally being acknowledged. She proposed one final ritual to honor the spirits and ensure their peaceful rest. The group agreed, understanding the importance of this final act. Gap 3S, group gathering, solemn ambiance. That night, under a full moon, they performed the ritual. The air was thick with anticipation, the moon casting an ethereal glow over the proceedings. Candles flickered gently as Clara led them in a heartfelt invocation, calling upon the spirits to find peace. Her voice was steady, filled with compassion and resolve. As they chanted, a soft glow enveloped the room, and the temperature warmed. It was as if the manor itself was responding to their efforts, embracing the change. It was as if the manor itself was expressing gratitude. The walls seemed to hum with a newfound energy, a sense of peace that had long been absent. Gap 5S, chanting, warm glow. Suddenly, the group heard faint whispers, not of malice, but of gratitude and relief. The voices of the past, finally at peace, echoed through the hall. The voices of the past, finally at peace, echoed through the hall. It was a moment of profound connection, a bridge between the living and the dead. Clara, with tears in her eyes, assured the group that the spirits had found their way home. The weight of their journey lifted, replaced by a sense of fulfillment. Gap 3S, whispers, Clara's emotional response. The next morning, as the first light of dawn touched Blackwood Manor, the group knew their work was done. They had not only unraveled the mysteries, but had also brought closure to the restless souls. They had not only unraveled the mysteries, but had also brought closure to the restless souls. The manor, once a place of fear, now stood as a beacon of history and healing. The manor, once a place of fear, now stood as a beacon of history and healing. Its transformation was a testament to the power of confronting and honoring the past. Gap 3S, sunrise over Manor, tranquil music. Years later, Blackwood Manor became a renowned museum, drawing visitors from around the world. The stories of bravery, discovery, and respect for the past were shared with all who came. The stories of bravery, discovery, and respect for the past were shared with all who came. The Thompsons, along with Professor Whitmore and Clara, ensured that the legacy of Blackwood Manor was preserved. The Thompsons, along with Professor Whitmore and Clara, ensured that the legacy of Blackwood Manor was preserved, a testament to the power of confronting and honoring the past. Gap 3S. Visitors at the museum, informative displays, and so, the haunting of Blackwood Manor came to an end, not in fear and despair, but in understanding and peace. The spirits, once restless, now watched over the manor with a sense of calm. The spirits, once restless, now watched over the manor with a sense of calm, their echoes a reminder of the importance of acknowledging and respecting history. Gap 3S, Manor at night, gentle wind. Blackwood Manor remains a place of learning and reverence, where the past and present coexist in harmony, and where the final echoes of its haunting tale whisper softly through the halls. Intrigued by the professor's findings, Michael delved deeper into local indigenous legends. He learned of the Forbidden Plateau, a region steeped in myth. According to legend, during times of war, the Comox people would hide their women and children on the plateau. On one occasion, they vanished without a trace, leading to beliefs that the area was inhabited by malevolent spirits. While this legend has been debunked as a fabrication from the 1920s, its association with mysterious disappearances and spiritual unrest resonated with the events at Blackwood Manor. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah organized a seance, inviting Professor Whitmore and a local medium, Clara Hastings.
The land remembers. Disturbance awakens the restless.
Emily, observing from a corner, felt a cold hand grasp hers. Terrified, she looked down to see a translucent child's hand clutching her own.
The children, they seek their mothers.
The following day, guided by Clara's revelations, the group explored the manor's basement. Behind a crumbling wall, they discovered a hidden chamber containing artifacts, children's toys, tattered clothing, and bones. Realizing these remains could be linked to the indigenous burial ground, they contacted local indigenous leaders to ensure proper reburial rites. A ceremony was held to honor the spirits of the departed. As chants filled the air and sacred herbs burned, a sense of tranquility enveloped Blackwood Manor. That night, Emily dreamt of a serene plateau bathed in moonlight, where children played and laughed. Among them stood a woman resembling the apparition they had seen before. She smiled at Emily, mouthing the words, "Thank you." The disturbances at Blackwood Manor ceased, and it became a place of learning, where guests could connect with the rich tapestry of Vancouver Island's history. The Thompsons ensured that the stories of both the manor and the land it stood upon were told with respect and reverence. Blackwood Manor remains a testament to the importance of acknowledging and honoring the past, ensuring that the spirits of history rest peacefully.